Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
All right, Friday afternoon, a video was released. This is the point of view of the ICE agent involved in that shooting in Minnesota that ended up with the death of Renee Good. I saw this video and thought, well, this should end the debate. This should solve everything. It's obvious what's going on here and what happened and the state of mind of the people involved. But sadly, it's become this, the film, the great classic film Rashomon or a Rorschach test or whatever. You're going to see the exact same thing as somebody else is going to see, but based on your point of view, your perspective, your preconceived notions, you're going to take from it exactly what you want to take from it. What I saw was an ICE agent who very professionally got, this. First of all, the idea that this woman wasn't blocking traffic is, outrageous. Everybody knows that she was sitting there blocking traffic, and the video proves she was straddling across a white line. Part of it was where the cars were parked. The other, she was at least blocking one lane, if not a second lane of traffic as well. The notion that she was just sitting in her car minding her own business after dropping off her kids at daycare is a complete and total fabrication. She was clearly involved in obstructing these ICE agents and their duty, along with her same-sex wife, her partner. That's number two. Number three, the agent got out and very professionally with his smartphone made video of the car, of her in the car. She addressed him, by the way, in what I believe was kind of a smarming, sarcastic sort of way, saying, "Oh, it's all good. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you." And then he went around to the back, got the license plate number, out-of-state license, so that blows out the other lie that we've been told. She's just a Minnesota mom. No, they had just arrived in Minnesota, and they had arrived there to participate with the Stop ICE protest. She had been there for months. Yes, she originally was going to move to Canada, but then they decided to move to Minnesota because that's the next best thing to a socialist utopia in North America. Then he confronts or is confronted by this Renee Good's wife, who was outside documenting everything on her smartphone. They were looking for a viral moment on Instagram or TikTok. She was incredibly belligerent with the ICE agent, taunting him, insulting him. Then when another ICE agent came up to the car and said, "Get out of the car," this ICE agent, again, professionally, did exactly tactically what the other ICE agents did, which is surround the car. He got in front of the car because you're not going to assume that a person is going to drive over an ICE agent. So he got in front of the car. The second ICE officer says a second time, "Get out of the effing car," this time he said. She throws the car into reverse to back up. And then as she puts the car in drive, the cop says again, "Get out of the car." And she puts the car in drive straight at the officer, who draws his gun and fires. Then, by the way, as she drives off, the ICE agent says, "Effing B word," which, understanding the heat of the moment and the fact that he thought she was going to run over him, and she does hit him, by the way, you can see that on the video as well. It's understandable in the heat of the moment to utter some profanities. He did not know that she was lying dead in that car at that moment. One other item of note. As Renee Good backs up her vehicle, Carrie, her lesbian wife, it looks like she's trying to get into the passenger car, but then says loudly, "Drive, baby, drive," encouraging her wife to step on the gas and seemingly plow into the ICE agent.
Yep.
So there are some people who see this. Here, take a listen. This is cut 6.
Get out of the car.
There you go. And you can hear the sound of the car hitting the ICE agent. You can hear her yelling, "Drive, baby, drive." This also blows away one other myth that we were hearing, was that she was confused and she was getting conflicting orders from the ICE agents. No, she was getting the same order over and over again. Get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. And then you heard other people saying, well, she was just driving away. Well, driving away, first of all, she may have just been driving away, but to drive away, you have to drive into the ICE agent, number one. And number two, that's not what she was told to do. She was told to get out of the car, not get out of here. The time for driving away was over. So, Carrie, that's my analysis of what happened here. I'll leave it to you there if you want to bring anything else to the table. But there are some people who are observing this and saying that the wife should actually be brought up on charges as an accomplice here, as participating in this horrific scene.
See, I think one of the things, Larry, is we've heard a lot about, like, oh, he shot an unarmed woman. Okay, fine. She didn't have a gun, but a car is a deadly weapon.
Yes.
As we've seen this time and time again. There are police officers. This ICE agent himself had been hit by a car and dragged, and I believe suffered broken ribs. So this is very present for them. We see it all the time in Europe when you have one of the weapons of choice for terrorists is to use your car, drive into a crowd as an act of terror. And certainly that's something that police officers here in America and ICE officers have to be aware as a potential. So, of course, he was afraid. Of course, he was thinking, he has a gun, she has a car. And in some ways, frankly, the car seems more deadly than the gun in a lot of ways. And obviously it's a tragedy. Nobody wanted this woman to die, but you have to look at it. I mean, I look at that video of the ICE officer and was thinking just how amazing it is that we have men and women who are willing to take on these jobs when you have crazy people, crazy Americans trying to prevent them from protecting all of us from wrongdoers in this country, whether that's criminals or people who are here illegally.
Well said. And the only advice, my oldest daughter is a liberal Democrat. She was a UCLA student in 2020 during the whole George Floyd thing. She told me she was going out to a BLM protest, and she's an adult. She's going to do what she wants. But I told her, listen, fine, could you do me one favor? If the police, if LAPD or whatever law enforcement is on the ground there during your protest, if they tell you to do something, do it. Follow their orders, follow their commands. They're there for public safety. They are in a intense situation that, these protests have gotten ugly in other parts of the country. Please you go and protest whatever you want. I'm not going to try to change your mind. You're passionate, whatever. Just follow what the police officers tell you. If the second you don't comply with a lawful order from a police officer, you're in trouble. You have broken the law, and bad things happen. And thank God she did follow my advice. More reaction to this video, and also Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from the Somali district of Minnesota. She went on Face the Nation yesterday and just flat out lied about what happened in that video. The only way you're on the left and you can continue to maintain your position on this shooting in Minnesota is to lie. And the media, as you're about to hear, lets them get away with it because it's more important to them to be on the politically correct side of this issue than on the truth. It's 6:15 WMAL.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car, peacefully waving cars to get by. This agent, as you see, gets out of his car, automatically starts running towards her, trying to open her door. She feels scared. She tries to turn the wheel away, and then you see the other officer, who can clearly see the car is moving, move towards the front of the car, which, if they are saying that he has 10 years on service and is trained, he should know that you shouldn't be trying to get in front of a moving car. And so it is not acceptable for Kristi Noem and
all right,
the
so
president.
There's Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, as you could hear, basically lying to the Face the Nation audience on CBS News, lying about what's on the video, lying about the ICE agent did not move in front of a moving car. He was standing in front of the car, and the car began to move. there's no two ways about it. And everything that she just described that the agents did there is proper procedure and exactly what they're supposed to do when they've got a belligerent person who's impeding their behavior and impeding their operations. Now, let's play the next audio cut, which is Margaret Brennan, CBS News, host of Face the Nation, correcting Congresswoman Omar, saying, forgive me, but we've all seen the video, and here, let's watch it together, because what you just told our audience is a lie. Can we play that audio, please? Oh, no, actually, we can't play that audio because that doesn't exist. Because Margaret Brennan, CBS News host of Face the Nation, just let that lie go by. And we're seeing a lot of that across the board in the corporate legacy media. They're lying to their audience because they want violence in the streets. Carrie, that's the only thing that I can think of. If they could actually tell the truth and actually deliver facts, that might actually calm things down in this country.
Yeah, it really is. It's such a dangerous, dangerous road to go down because we do want people to know how to act responsibly around police officers. And this is dangerous for the police officers. It's dangerous for anyone who does want to protest or do whatever. You have to realize that you have a right to protest, but you don't have a right to harass law enforcement. You don't have a right to get in their face or to yell at them and not follow orders. This is really, really dangerous stuff.
Yeah. Well said. And Omar, by the way, tried to get into a Minneapolis ICE facility in the middle of these protests. They did turn violent, by the way. You saw them attacking a hotel where they thought ICE agents were staying. They were spray painting it. They were smashing windows. There's a GoFundMe set up now for the family of the deceased, Renee Good, and they've raised, I think, close to $2 million. They've also set up a GoFundMe for the ICE agent, whose name, by the way, has all been released. The media has released it. They've all told his name. Remember when they protected the name of the Capitol Police officer who ended up shooting and killing Ashley Babbitt? Remember how Congress and the media colluded to keep that person's name out of the media for months and months and months until it finally got out? Somehow they're treating this ICE agent differently. I'm not sure why. There must be some difference.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they set up a GoFundMe for him. Billionaire Bill Ackman has donated, $10,000 to that GoFundMe. And there's more money rolling in. But I got to be honest, billionaire Bill Ackman can afford more than $10,000. He probably should. Meanwhile, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, he has been involved in the fraudulent payments. Remember that story? Yeah. The reason why Tim Walz and Mayor Fry of Minneapolis and Ilhan Omar, part of the reason why they're blowing the ICE protests up out of proportion is because they want to distract from the ongoing billion-dollar fraud investigation of fraudulent activities that it appears they either knew about or even participated in. Well, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is having none of it. Listen to him when asked about Tim Walz and the fact that Tim Walz will not meet with him or talk with him while he's in Minnesota.
Well, this interview was originally scheduled for the Minnesota State Capitol. Can you explain why that didn't come to pass and why we're here?
For one reason, Chris, Tim Walz is a coward. He is a coward. He would not guarantee that the Treasury Secretary of the United States of America would have police protection in the Minnesota State Capitol. He is afraid of what is coming. And he's not going to be able to hide behind this curtain because we will get there. And I don't have to go in the Capitol building to investigate him. I would love for him to come to Treasury and answer some questions. I can guarantee you that he will be safe and sound then, depending on what we discover. I don't know about his future. And as I said earlier, that will be the only view of the Oval Office he ever gets. Because let's just think about the long arc of history. The suppression of this story is this guy got to within could have been one heartbeat away from being president of the United States. And when we don't have a functioning mainstream media and great independent journalists like you, citizen journalists who go out and do the investigative work because the people who are supposed to be doing it don't do it anymore.
Tim Walz is a coward. says Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. There's certainly more will develop in this story today, and we'll have more as the morning develops, too, including a conversation with Joe DeGeneva at 7:05. Right now it's 6:23. Coming up, we're going to speak with Katie Gorka. She's the chairwoman of the Republican Party in Fairfax County. There's a special election coming up to replace a Democrat state senator. These special elections are a great opportunity for Republicans, so we'll talk about the primary coming up next.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Katie Gorka is the chairwoman of the Fairfax Republican Party, and here we go. No rest for the weary, as you have a special election ahead of you.
Oh, it's incredible. It's one election after another. We've actually got 4 ahead of us. But yes, wow. Tomorrow is the last day of voting for House District 11. That's Fairfax, Oakton, and Fair Oaks. We have a great candidate, Adam Wise. So get out and vote tomorrow in House District 11.
And then there's also a state Senate seat that's open, I see. And what's the primary process going to be for that?
So super interesting. So what keeps happening is Spamberger is pulling people from Fairfax for her administration, and every time that happens, somebody gets a seat opens up, or one person moves, so then another seat opens up. So that's why we've got all these specials. As I mentioned, we've got the HD 11. We've got another one, actually, House District 17. That's down in Franconia. The one you're asking about is Senate District 39. That is Alexandria City, Bailey's Crossroads, and Pentagon City. And actually, we are still looking for a candidate. So I think we've got one person who has stepped up so far. If anybody's interested, they should just reach out to the Fairfax GOP. You've got until 5 o'clock today to tell us that you want to be a candidate. And then tomorrow there will be a little sort of mini party canvas, because that's all there's time for. So it's crazy. Wow. And then if I could mention, there's one more, March 3rd, voters in Braddock District are going to be voting for a new school board member. And we have a great candidate there, Sandra Davis. So, the best thing to keep up with all these crazy special elections is if people just sign up for the absentee ballot, then you automatically get it. And I know that we as Republicans don't like it, but until we can get back power, this is what we got to do. We got to vote early, vote absentee.
Yep. Katie, I so appreciate all the work you're doing as a Fairfax County resident myself. I feel like there's a lot of folks in Virginia who just feel depressed, right? Like that are the states suffered so much in the last election. What would it mean to get one of these, to win one of these, and actually be able to send in another Republican to the State House?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and I agree with you. I know people are depressed, and I want to say the thing that I hear most is people cannot believe that their fellow Virginians voted for a guy, Jay Jones, who wanted to see people dead. I mean, that's just, people are horrified by that. But you can't give up, right? We're not going to walk away from this. And even if people feel discouraged, I'm just always encouraging them, get more involved, do more. We can take this back. And just as a reminder, this is what's crazy. Fairfax County is, maybe 35% Republican, but out of 57 elected officials in Fairfax County, 56 are Democrat. So all of us Republicans are living under one-party rule right now. And the only way we're going to change it is if people get out and vote. If we could win one of these House delegate seats or the Senate district seat, it makes a huge difference. It helps hold the Democrats accountable.
Well, and it sounded like a couple of these districts, based on the, I'm trying to visualize the lines that are being drawn. They're, because everyone says, it's Fairfax County. Well, Pat Harity represents a portion of Fairfax County. We know from our listeners, and we know from doing events at Fairfax County, that there are plenty of residents, plenty of voters who do not march in lockstep with the likes of Congressman Walkinshaw. that there is an opportunity to get some Republican representation, but they just need to get out and get involved, especially in these special elections, Katie. That's where there's really an opportunity because there's not a huge draw and a huge amount of people who are pouring out to the polls for the Democrats.
No, you're absolutely right. That's one of the really interesting things about special elections, right? Turnout will be super, super low. Honestly, it'll be down somewhere like maybe 8%, right? So it's a real numbers game. Special elections are far and away the best chance for Republicans to win in Fairfax County because it's where we really can outnumber the Democrats if we can turn out the voters. And yes, and I will also add, especially as you go west in the county, it gets more Republican. And so somebody like an Adam Wise, who's out by Fairfax, Oakton, and Fair Oaks, he's probably got the best chance of all. Same with Chris Cardiff down in HD 17. Those are elections that we can absolutely win if people get out and vote.
All right, Katie Gorka, always great to talk with you. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, no rest for the weary. You are out there, but you are a joyful warrior, I can tell. You've got that spirit, and we appreciate you being there for us.
Thanks, guys.
It is 6:43.
Later this morning in the Chris Plante Show, Democrats threatening to arrest federal law enforcement if they should try to enforce the law. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Well, if you think that all of the welfare fraud, SNAP fraud, daycare fraud, healthcare fraud, Obamacare fraud was just isolated to Minnesota, well, you're wrong. Of course, we've talked about what Walter Kurt has uncovered in Ohio, and we're sure that California is rife with this stuff. Jennifer Van Laar at Red State has been doing some great investigations there. But what about in our backyard? What about Maryland? Well, the Maryland Freedom Caucus has released their initial findings of what appears to be the same kind of fraud. Apparently, the Department of Health Services knew that there was food stamp errors that had gone uncorrected. Errors, they're calling it, because they're trying to be safe here. But let's call them what we think they are, absolute fraud. But they would have been subject to $240 million in federal penalties under SNAP. Now, this is a program meant to feed the poor, and what they did was, it appears, under Governor Westmore, they left those errors uncorrected because they didn't want to expose and be responsible for $240 million in penalties. This is now one whistleblower has already come forward on this, saying we're obligated to correct errors as we find them. What's happening is wrong and corrupt. Furthermore, Dustin Grage, who is the investigative reporter out of Minnesota, who's covered all of the fraud there, took a look at what's being alleged in Maryland now, and he said, yeah, Minnesota's the tip of the iceberg. This is going to keep unfolding and unfolding everywhere. That's one of the reasons why we're speaking with Kathy Shalega, Maryland delegate, coming up at 8:05, Carrie. But just something tells me that these programs, it makes sense to me that there's all this fraud, and it doesn't seem like there's any agencies that are actually looking to fix the fraud. Did you ever hear Westmore, as governor of Maryland, ever saying anything about this?
Yeah, absolutely not. Obviously, people always talk about this idea of how government agencies, and you're not as careful with somebody else's money as you are with your own. And it seems like when you're looking at some of what's going on in the states, they sure don't seem to be taking very seriously the money that the federal government is giving them. It's like they seem to be really willing to, who knows where it went, and not doing any of the due diligence to follow up. It really makes you think that the federal government needs to put a lot more teeth in some of the requirements, because this is crazy. This is thousands of people are paying taxes, federal income taxes, and they're being given to Maryland, and here they are just kind of, letting it get lost in the sauce and not bothering to follow up on it.
Well, and Carrie, they're always asking for more money or for expanded programs or for new programs because, if people get frustrated, it's like, you've been taking half of my income for decades and the poverty problems continue to get worse. Nobody seems to get better. No one seems to get the help they need. The crisis, we're told, continues. What's broken here, right? Yep. And it turns out that these programs are not actually doing what Democrats, and by the way, good-hearted American citizens, whether they're Republican or Democrat, are more than willing to have some of their tax dollars go to. But then when you tell me that it's going to criminals, oh, to hell with it. Not one red cent from me, because the programs are not doing what we were told they were going to do. I would think Democrats would be leading the charge on this so that they can help the children. Carrie, no one's thinking of the children.
Yeah, exactly. You see this. This is a SNAP program. This is supposed to be food stamps. We're always told that so many people are suffering and we need more money or people are going to go hungry. And the same way with the child care, that there's always just an endless call for more money to be pushed into these programs. And yet here we see, these are being used to funnel money somewhere. In Minnesota, it was obviously being used as a pure scam to get money to other people. But, if you can't find this money, somebody's making a big error, and we need to take this money seriously. It's really amazing stuff.
You're so right that people are pretty careless with other people's money. And, of course, as Margaret Thatcher famously said, eventually in socialist states, you run out of other people's money because you've wasted it all. Coming up at 8:05, we'll speak with Maryland Delegate Kathy Shalega. She has strong opinions about this new fraud scandal and other issues facing Marylanders. You're going to want to hear it, so keep it here. It's 6:53.